Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. I've got my Fantasy Trip t-shirt on today, so you know I'm talking about some RPG goodness. And just before we get started, though, I've got to let you know that Fantasy Counter Kit 3, counters to use for your favorite fantasy role-playing game, is available on Kickstarter and is ending in a few days. Now, I've already had a great response, enough so that I've already made the orders for the counters. All right. As many of you know, I like to get these things 80% done before I even bother starting the Kickstarter. And but I've ordered them already before the Kickstarter even ended. And not only that, I've also had them sent by air. They're not going to come by boat with all the port problems that we're having in America right now. So it costs a few extra bucks, but that's okay. This is the best way to get this product into your hands and works out best for both of us. Okay. Okay. So anyway, check the link down below for that. And as far as what we're talking about today, well, today I'm switching it up. I'm talking about a new adventure, but I'm switching it up because you've already seen that I've done Dragon Hunt, a programmed adventure by David Pulver. You've seen Vampire Belladonna, a programmed adventure by David Pulver, and Red Crypt, a programmed adventure by David Pulver. So what am I going to do today? I'm going to do a non-programmed adventure by David Pulver. I can't get away from the guy. Even as I was doing this, I was thinking, oh yeah, I got to do Ardonna Rain yet. I believe I said that right. Go figure, what is it with the fantasy trip that has words that I just can't pronounce? It's like Steve Jackson, Douglas Cole, and David Pulver all get into a dark corner of the room and just say, how can we vex James Izard into being able to flubble over his words? I have to restart these videos all the time and do cuts as it is already, and they're making it tough on me. But nonetheless, today I am going to be talking to you about why you should be using Tower of the Moon by Gaming Ballistic for the fantasy trip. So Tower of the Moon is a non-programmed adventure, and there's a number of reasons why. The most notable is it is not made from scratch. Actually, this is a translation of the adventure Tower of the Moon for Swords and Wizardry. Okay, that old school revival game. So they had to change some major changes to make it fit Seedry and the way magic works in Seedry and such. But also, they had to translate everything to the statistics for the fantasy trip, which luckily enough, we all know how easy that is to do. Is one of the reasons we like the fantasy trip. But another reason is because this is based off of Gothic horror. All right, so you're going to lose a lot of story. This is all story, so there's going to lose a lot of that when it comes to, or I should say, not you wouldn't lose the story, but you would lose the potential interaction with all the other players. While with the programmed adventure, it's just going to be you go here, you go here, here's your choices, boom. There's so many ways to interact, where the story could go, where the characters have their own story and how it mixes in. That's one thing, and just the idea of how the characters can interact with things. There's a lot of choices that I can see. It's one of the reasons why they say in programmed adventures you really shouldn't have a wizard unless it's specifically a combat wizard. All right, mainly because they can do so many weird things that you really need a judge to kind of work that out. So one of the things I like about tower adventures is the idea that it's confined space. Okay, unlike a cave or a dungeon which can sprawl out all over the place, towers are definitely confined, and I would definitely reward any party that would say make adjustments in what they're carrying or whatever based on that idea. Now, I'm not saying that there's no room to maneuver in Tower of the Moon. It's got enough size to it, but at the same time, thinking you're going to go around using ranged missile weapons, that's probably may not be a thing. Thrown weapons, maybe. But that's one of the reasons why I like it. Another is the idea that thieves have a real reason to be in the tower. See, the thing is, towers are built, because somebody built them or a group of people because they want to protect whatever's in there if it's anything worth protecting, right? So definitely thieves would have something to do here and be very prominent in the adventure, and there's definitely got to be something to unlock. Now, another thing is about the Tower of the Moon that I like. It has got a good story to it, but you definitely will interact depending on how the player characters approach the tower. Okay, so there's a lot of variables right from the start of what you interact with first, who and what you interact with first. So that'll change everything. So that almost, for the game master, I wouldn't say it makes a replay value for the players if they've already had characters go through it, but for a game master, it's pretty nice because this is something that you can say, okay, let's see what these guys do, let's see what these guys do, and then you have another party, let's see what these guys do. This is an adventure that you will want to break out time and time again to see what everybody does different. So Tower of the Moon's made for 3 to 5 characters of about 32 to 35 points, okay? Now, they also say that you can use a pair of characters, 36 to 39, but I definitely choose to have 5 characters in there if it was myself. And the reason being is because it's a gothic horror story. Something terrible's got to happen to somebody. They're going to die in some miserable way. So leave that there so somebody gets to experience that and not just an NPC. And just as a reminder, folks, if you've come this far in the video, there's a good chance you've liked the video. I hope so anyway. Please take a moment to smash that like and subscribe button and just let me know I'm doing a good job. I do appreciate it. So Tower of the Moon also promotes the idea of having more than one wizard in the party, one at the very least, but 2 would be ideal, if not more, okay? The reason should be obvious. It's gothic horror. You're going to be working with magic to some degree, all right? Now, even though they do say that you probably would be good to have some thrown offensive spells in there, it would also be good to have some of the more, non-combat spells already ready because you will probably find a way to use them. There's a lot of creative ways that I see that people are going to be able to interact with the things that they see in the tower. Now, the thing that game masters are going to have to do is figure out a place to place the tower in their campaign and get their characters to it. Now, the best thing is to put it into a rural area. It's not supposed to be near any major towns or anything like that because there's supposed to be this esoteric, fringe thing going on over here. I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, even though I think more game masters are watching this more than players, but I don't want to take the chance. But basically, put it in between 2 somewhat populated settlements. Some villages would be best. Okay, not tiny, because there's got to be enough people there for this whole thing to make sense, but just not as big as towns. So about 20 to 40 miles out of in between 2 settlements would work best. So a lot is going on in these 16 pages of adventure. And a lot of options are being had. I mean, game masters could use this as a starting point for an origin story for characters and see who survives and moves on, maybe possibly taking some of the problems and burdens with them. It could be just a stopping point from characters going from part A to part B. This is right in between that, and just as something to stop off on. And you could just do it as a regular adventure, and who knows, because of the stories, how it interacts, could just sprawl out into a big campaign. Who knows? There's a lot going on. I do suspect that this is going to be one of those adventures that you will break out over and over again with different groups and see how they get through it. So that is the video today for Tower of the Moon. You can get it at Gaming Ballistic. Check it down in the link below, and I'll see you next video.